Hey guys, this is Joe East here. I want to talk this evening about a subject of which I've been getting a lot of inquiry, and I've actually been guiding a few friends, acquaintances, and strangers through these techniques. So I figured I'd do a video clip on this stuff so most of you guys can take part in this awesome thing. The subject is meditation techniques and insight number one. I got my notes here on my computer, and you can follow on the whiteboard as I click through all the topics here. So, what is the general subject of meditation? Okay, I've been doing this for over 10 years with a good bit of discipline, and I've probably done it when I was in my teenage years. I probably started getting introduced to this in teenage years, reading through martial arts books and stuff like that initially. Then, of course, getting into some of the more sophisticated literature as I got older. You could call the general subject mindfulness. If you're a religious person, prayer comes under this category of mindfulness, although prayer is separate from meditation. All religious traditions have meditation as a part of their tradition, and of course, typically prayer also. But meditation can also be used in a secular context if you're not religious, so you can get the benefits being not religious. So if you're a religious person or if you got some sort of religious training, you can think of prayer as talking to God, and you can think of meditation as listening to God. If you're not a religious person, you can use alternative words such as listening to God, listening to the universe, listening to your unconscious, listening to your higher self. If you're of another tradition, if you're of the Christian tradition, you can say you're listening to Jesus. If you're of other traditions, you can say you're listening to the Buddha, the light, feeling charity or whatever, getting something from something higher than yourself. So like I said, you could be religious or non-religious, or it doesn't matter. It's going to work for you. It's just the way it is. It works very well. Benefits. What are some of the benefits of this meditation stuff? So mainly if you're a creative person, you really want to look at this stuff. This is going to exponentially increase your creative abilities and your flow and your access to ideas, the idea flow. So if you're a creative person and you're staring at the white page, and you can't get beyond the empty page, you'll never probably have a problem with that if you know how to do meditation and get that flow started. Insight. So you're going to be able to integrate several concrete details in your experience into a higher level of understanding. You get insight into situations, learnings, your education, life experience, right? You're going to get a lot of insight. Sometimes you'll be able to communicate this insight to others. Sometimes you will not be able to, because it'll be below the neck. It'll be kind of what we call the subconscious understanding, kinesthetic or something like that, something below the neck. But sometimes you'll be able to communicate it. Knowing the way is another benefit, where you're in a situation, you just know the way. You know the path without explanation, right? Your gut, your heart knows it. Your soul knows it. One sign that meditation is working is people are going to ask you, how do you know that? And sometimes you can't say. So that's a sign. So that's one of the main benefits, that you can say, oh, okay, I'm really getting some feedback from the external world that this stuff's working, right? Okay, so transcending polarities is another benefit. And this is kind of metaphysical, but the idea is you'll see both sides of, say, a political or argument or stuff, and you'll be able to integrate that into a whole. You'll be able to see that they're basically categories that can be transcended to a higher level of understanding. Male and female, you're going to notice you might be able to relate to the opposite sex in a very instinctive, unconscious way below the neck. That's not very common in the general population, and that you have a better sort of rapport there. That's another sign. It's not necessarily you'll get that to that point, but that's another sign. So how do you actually do this stuff? It's not hard. I'm going to go through specifics I've used over the years and that I've actually taught to other people, and they've actually had some very good benefits. So there's pendant meditation, heartbeat meditation, vision meditation, and breath meditation. You can actually start this stuff today. You can start it tonight, right? What's a good place to start? Physically, honestly, it's kind of funny, but the easiest place to start is in a bathtub, where you have the water around you, warmth, and you actually have a benefit, which we're going to get into one of the insights here. I'll show you how to do the heartbeat meditation, which is usually very useful if you're in a bathtub. Okay, pendant meditation. What is a pendant? Something that hangs on a necklace, right? So in this pendant meditation, get yourself a meaningful object. It could be a cross, a ring, a necklace pendant, something meaningful, maybe a small vase or perhaps a statue or a picture. This probably shouldn't be a picture of a person. It's just a more of a symbolic is the better way to choose the pendant itself or the object. Make sure the object is very meaningful to you. I use a necklace my son gave me for Father's Day several years ago. That's my meaningful object I use. So what you want to do is you want to see it in your imagination. So you don't want to necessarily have to look at it as you're meditating, although to begin you might need to get a visual snapshot of it, right? Maybe. But you need to get to a point where you can close your eyes and visualize it in your imagination very clearly, very kinesthetically. So you want to see it in your imagination. You want to feel it in your hands in your imagination. Feel the texture of it in your imagination. Run your hands through it and maybe even squeeze it in your hands in your imagination, not literally, in your imagination. So get the kinesthetics. So it's to see it, then you get the visuals of it. See all the little crevices, the little spaces, the little bumps in it. See it very clearly in your imagination. Feel it in your hands, squeeze it in your imagination, and hear the sounds of it, whether it sounds like a chain, a bell, a click, or even a made-up sound, or if you dropping it or something, or like a bell, you're ringing it, or you're moving the pendant along the necklace, and you hear the sounds of the chain. Hear the sound in your imagination again, and make it up if you have to. It doesn't matter. As long as the object is in your imagination, you get those three senses as you're meditating: visual, kinesthetics, and sound. If you can't get them all three at once, try maybe focus on one modality if you can't quite get it all if you're a beginner here. But eventually bring as many modalities as you can, or as many senses as you can as you're meditating. Bring it up to what we're going to call the third eye chakra. Okay, a lot of people have different theories on this, but there's several ways to think about this. The third eye chakra can be typically located right here behind maybe an inch or so behind this point. Some people feel it right between the eyebrows, about an inch behind this point. I personally like to put it about an inch in front of my nose in my imagination. Bring it to this third eye chakra, whatever feels comfortable, don't force it. Bring it to your third eye chakra visually and hold it there. To begin, try 30 seconds, because when I do beginners with this 30 seconds, I've actually had a friend do this for 30 seconds, and immediately she got a very good benefit of a flash of insight concerning her family and her daughter at the time. So 30 seconds, you can get that really, really quick. Even as a beginner, you can get a benefit there if you do this right, or if you have someone to guide you to it that really knows what they're doing. So 30 seconds to begin. You can increase this as much as you can. I mean, some people do 10 minutes or 15 minutes. There's some hardcore guys who like to do it 30 minutes in the morning or 30 minutes in the evening. But do whatever feels comfortable and increase the time as long as it feels comfortable. If it's too much, decrease the time. Take your time with this stuff. Start out slowly, because a beginner will have trouble holding dependent in their imagination at a particular point. And sometimes, as a beginner, it'll fly out of your imagination. It'll just fly away, and you have to bring it back slowly. So don't worry if you have that experience of it flying away in your imagination after focusing on it for even briefly sometimes if you're a beginner. Don't worry about that. Take your time. Go perhaps to a Headspace and download Headspace, and there's some other ways of doing that. Let's go to another type that might be more appropriate. Pick one of these that you like, or one of these that fire your imaginations, that pique your imagination or your interest. Heartbeat meditation. Okay, this is what I was talking about in the bathtub. So you don't need to do this in the bathtub, but if you're a beginner and you can't quite feel your heartbeat just by getting quiet and feeling it, some people have trouble with that. Whenever I first did this, I really had to focus before I could actually feel the heartbeat, but you'll get better with it over time. But the easiest way is to get into the bathtub and submerge your chest below the water. And then if you can, put your ears below the water. I mean, you got to still be breathing, right? And if you have your ears below the water line, you're going to be hearing your heartbeat, or pretty much any sound you bang up against the metal bathtub. But you'll be able to hear your heartbeat swooshing through your body like a pump of fluid through a rubber pipe or something. You're swishing a little bit. So you can catch your heartbeat sound using the bathtub as a tool to get started, and eventually, hopefully, you'll be able to hear your heartbeat without the bathtub. Or it just might be the best way for you to do it, right? Maybe just keep on doing it. Submerge your ears underwater is just the most important thing. So how do you do the heartbeat meditation? So for starters, you count 15 heartbeats to start. Just feel it kinesthetically, and then you're listening, and that's auditory, right? And it may just bring a visual element to it, whatever works for you, whether you're visualizing your chest or maybe the heart beating in your chest, maybe some medical images you might have seen of the heartbeat, right? So count to 15 beats to start. And just that's going to give you a very good benefit. When you're able, go to 30 beats and even 60. So you can space these out. So the first time you do this, you say do 15 beats. And if you're still feeling good, just wait a minute or two and just go for another 15. Or if you're really feeling good, just go to 30 or 60. Again, the point of most of these exercises is don't force it and don't push yourself to a stressful point. Take it easy and make sure you're not getting frustrated, tired, or frazzled as you're doing this stuff. And if you are, just back off and take a couple seconds out. Vision meditation. So this is another form you can use if you're a very visual person. I think probably 30% of the population, maybe 35%, or somewhat visual. Probably 60% of the people are more kinesthetic, and us auditory people are probably 10 to 15%. But visual meditation, what you want to do is you're developing a perfect picture of your life or an incident in your life that you want to perfect. And you want to basically paint a picture of bliss and perfection in your life. For example, you'll say, imagine bars of gold stacked up like bricks, okay? Something very valuable, very precious bars of gold. Perhaps you can imagine bars of gold stacked in front of your fireplace, right? See where I'm going, and seeing the fireplace. And then in this picture, you start bringing perhaps your family or some significant others into this picture. And maybe, this is some ideas, imagine a necklace of pure gold around all your family members in front of the fireplace with gold bricks stacked from floor to ceiling, or stacked from floor to 5 feet high or 6 feet high or whatever, right? And then in this vision, you imagine a light shining down from heaven, or the sun shining down. And it doesn't have to make logical sense, this vision. In fact, if it doesn't make logical sense, it's probably pretty good, because you're integrating more spiritual insight into it, and you can learn how to format the vision in your imagination and become more creative. imagine a light shining down, the sun shining down, even though it might be a vision inside of a house, all right? Just imagine the sun shining down, and it's, like I said, it doesn't make logical sense, but it makes spiritual sense. And then perhaps imagine lightning flashes of energy coming into the picture, giving you and your family energy, white light, or insight, or you see heaven open up, or something like that. So it needs to be uplifting, not quite exciting, but something on a soul level that just ignites your imagination, ignites some of your kinesthetic senses. The next form of meditation is breath meditation. So what you want to do here is, and the reason why I want to get specific in this is because a lot of people don't know how to do this, and I want to make sure you understand how to do it. If you do cardio a lot, like running or cycling, if you've ever tried to slow your heartbeat down after hitting it really hard using breath, you're going to understand exactly what I'm talking about here, or you might even try it yourself. What's the most efficient way to slow down the heartbeat using breath after a hard cardio incident? You just stop and recover, right? That's an actual learning experience to do this breath meditation for those of you who do cardio. So what you want to do is inhale to your belly button, and I'm being very specific here for a reason. And like I said, if you do the cardio exercise, as I said, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. And if it helps, touch your belly button to where you know what the target is. Put your hand on the button for starters and feel. Okay, so fill your lungs to a slight stretch and hold that breath for 3 heartbeats or 3 seconds. And this is approximate, right? Don't get dogmatic on the 3 seconds, 3 heartbeats. What you want to, and hold it. The most important thing is holding it briefly. And like I said, if you're going to do the cardio exercise I talked to you about, you're going to understand why the holding is extremely important for that 3 seconds, approximately. Then slowly exhale this breath. You can bring it all in. You can slowly exhale it and imagine it. In one case, you can use this as a tool. Imagine the breath coming from your stomach out like a flowing stream of water from a mountain brook, or whatever image similar to that fires your imagination. Again, exhale slowly, seeing it like a flowing stream of water from a mountain brook, like you're seeing water just come out of you. And if you're a Christian, you might have heard the symbolism like wells of living water springing up, and it's sort of living water. So you want to see that image, and it's a powerful meditative image, and also, like I said, it has religious connotations from some of the Christian traditions. All right, so I think you have a lot to work on, whether or not you're a experienced meditator or you're a beginner. So if you're a beginner, I gave you plenty of information to start. I mean, if you're a beginner, you can, spend months on this stuff. And each form of meditation here, there's no end to the depth of insight that you can go into these forms of meditation. So when you start this meditation, you're going to learn stuff. It's going to be a lot of it's going to be below the neck instinctively, and you're going to get flashes of insight during meditation. Problems going to be solved during meditation. Your creativity is going to be in a better state of flow once you're done, or sometimes when you're meditating, you get a lot of creative insights. You're going to get from the Christian tradition, we call it a revelation. Or if you're not much of a religious person, you'll call it insight, integration, creativity, whatever. So yeah, once you start doing this, I gave you enough tools to go out there and hit it pretty hard for several months or even years. You can actually focus on this stuff and learn a lot as you do it. Again, I guess the thing is to do it, if at all possible, once per day. If you're going to get to the advanced state, it's kind of nice if you can do it twice a day, but some people just don't have the time to do it, or the patience, or the focus at the beginning. So if you can do it at least 5 times a week, I think you're going to feel and see and hear the benefits almost for certain if you do it 5 times a week. The ideal is every day, and the goal should be twice a day if you can. That's kind of a goal there. So, but starting out, don't be hard on yourself. If you can't do this every day or twice a day or whatever, as long as you're doing it a few times a week, and you're feeling the benefits below the neck, or you see others seeing the benefits, like, where did you get that idea from? You hear some people. Your creative flow is going to be better. Your understanding of concepts and integration will be much better. So that's kind of some of the benefits you'll see. So let's bring this to a close. Again, we walked through the benefits of meditation. We went over pendant meditation, heartbeat meditation, vision meditation, and breath meditation. There's plenty of types out there you could study on your own, but these right here I know very well, and I can actually coach you through them if you need some help there. I got my email address at the bottom of the whiteboard there if you guys need some help here. If you got my phone number, you can text me and we can work through some of this stuff. It's sometimes you just need a coach to coach you through it, because sometimes reading about it or hearing about it's not enough. You need somebody to physically be there watching you, or just coaching you through how to do it with that feedback loop in there, right? Because there's no feedback in a film, there's no feedback in a book. But coaching, there's that feedback element, and sometimes that's what you need to get this. Okay, I got it. Or the coach can tell you, oh yeah, you're getting it now. Are you seeing this, and this? Or what do you feel? Oh yeah, you got it. You're on the right path. So have fun with this stuff, and good luck out there. Stay safe. Till next time. Goodbye.